The Nintendo 64 was a groundbreaking and beloved gaming system when it was released in 1996, but between the graphics, the three-pronged controller, and the sassy, in-your-face late 90s presentation, it can be hard to find games that by today's standards are even fun. Thankfully, we're here to wade through the muck of frustrating controls and square polygon men to tell you about the best gaming experiences on this weird, wonderful machine. We're Operation Sports, I'm Matthew Ederer, and these are the top 5 Nintendo 64 sports games that still hold up. Number 5, Wave Race 64. Released almost immediately after the 64 itself in 1996, Wave Race 64 was ages ahead of its time, both in terms of graphics and gameplay. However, being ahead of its time doesn't necessarily mean it holds up today. What set Wave Race apart from the other N64 racing titles is its simplicity and its fun factor. The controls are straightforward and intuitive, both single and multiplayer races are exciting, and the dynamic wave physics and water graphics are still pretty even now in the future. Wave Race 64 has been referred to as F-Zero on water, which to me is ironic because it seems that Wave Race is more popular than F-Zero ever was. Maybe I'm wrong. One thing we can all agree on though is that it's time to get Captain Falcon onto a jet ski. Number 4, NFL Blitz 2000. Back in the long ago, when society saw concussions less as a serious medical issue and more as something hilarious, NFL Blitz was a wild, violent football game that celebrated those concussions openly. NFL Blitz is a surprisingly deep football experience with more to it than meets the eye, while very obviously and unabashedly defining the word arcade. People remember the 30-yard first downs and the over-the-top tackles, but we tend to forget that Blitz has a full season mode and a create-a-play feature. I know I forgot. The NFL Blitz formula has been duplicated and probably even surpassed by games like NFL Street and insert new 2K football game here. But if you're looking for a football game that is both simple and completely insane, or if you want to just straight up leg drop your buddy after the whistle, give NFL Blitz a try. Number 3, WWF No Mercy. I'm not here to litigate whether wrestling is a sport or not. I mean, if you're watching it on TV, no, it's not a sport. And I say that as a lifelong fan and someone who actually used to cover wrestling for The Score up in Canada. I love wrestling. It's not exactly a sport. However, wrestling games operate as though wrestling were real, and there are contests where somebody wins and someone or a group of people loses fair and square. So, while real pro wrestling is choreographed and, for a lack of a better term, fake pro wrestling is actually, if you think about it, real. Huh. Oh yeah, this video. Wrestling games on Nintendo 64 are regarded as some of the absolute best and most fun of all time, and rightfully so. To this day, fans are dying for a remake of these games, and current fans have all but knocked down Cody Rhodes' door asking him to make an all-elite wrestling game with the No Mercy engine. I think I might actually prefer WrestleMania 2000 to No Mercy. WrestleMania had more of a traditional season mode, and it also had the ability to track names and champions, which was huge for my neighborhood in the summer of 1999. No Mercy had more of a story mode than a season mode, where your wrestler would go through like a 10 to 12 chapter story that would change based on whether you win or lost. It was still very fun, but it wasn't as deep as WrestleMania 2000, which kind of brings me to the dirty little secret about these Nintendo 64 wrestling games. While they were great at the time, and they're still all great, they all kind of leave something to be desired. So No Mercy, while it's fun and it's highly regarded, it didn't keep all the features that made WWF WrestleMania so replayable. In fact, I think if I had to only choose one, I'd still pick WWF WrestleMania. WWF Mania was great, but it had a significantly worse roster than WCW vs. NWO Revenge. Revenge had deeper rosters than either of the WWF games, and arguably better moves, but it lacked a true story mode and a ton of match options. If you could combine all 4 of these games into one game, that would be the greatest wrestling game of all time. Until then, go with either WrestleMania 2000 or WWF No Mercy. Number 2, Mario Tennis. A longtime favorite of drunken college kids worldwide, Mario Tennis games are almost inarguably more popular than real tennis games, which is probably unfair to real tennis games. You know, they're good and all. But did Top Spin 3 introduce the world to Waluigi? I rest my case. Mario Tennis is a shockingly deep game, one that both teaches and rewards actual knowledge of the sport of tennis. But you don't have to be an expert at tennis or even understand sports at all to have awesome back and forth Mario Tennis matches. That's the true genius of this game. It works both as a straight up tennis sim and as a fun party game with all of your favorite kooky, colorful characters. Number 1. Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. I try not to be hot take internet man, but believe me when I tell you this. Ken Griffey Jr. baseball games are the most replayable sports games in the entire N64 library. Released on May 31st, 1998, Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr. would go on to sell over 1 million copies worldwide. The game, affectionately known as Griffey, and its 1999 follow-up Griffey Slugfest, are classic baseball titles that contain all the charm of your favorite 8 or 16-bit baseball games, but with a full season and playoff, a draft if you're nasty, a home run derby, far better controls, and frankly more exciting action than any baseball game before them had. As a quick aside, I personally find the arcade swing option in this game to be a little annoying and frankly way too difficult for beginners. In order to really get the true scope of this game, you have to play with classic swing, at least at the start. Griffey Baseball has a number of things going for it that aren't really even intentional, but that super count anyway. For example, these games are modeled after the 1997 and 98 MLB seasons, just dead in the middle of the steroid era. Meaning that the first game is set in the year that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa both shatter the home run record, and Slugfest is set in the year after. It's always a fun challenge to start up a season, see that number in the distance and try to smash that record before Barry Bonds and his massive head put it out of reach. Another Griffey Baseball bonus, the Nintendo 64 controller. It is absolutely made for baseball games, and it's the best possible controller for baseball, with the C buttons perfectly corresponding to a baseball diamond. Griffey Baseball games to this day have the most fun and easiest base running and defense that I can think of in a baseball game. This is a simple, straightforward game that remains so deep that we play it to this day, and by we I mean me and 3 or 4 of my loser friends. If you take nothing away from these lists but this, I implore you to give Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball a try if you haven't, and find cooler friends than I have. That's going to do it for us today at Operation Sports, but if you liked this video, or even if you disliked it because my number 1 choice was far too spicy, feel free to click that upwards facing thumb and give us a subscription. A subscription. And if you like me, well, my name is Matthew Ederer. I am a writer and comedian and general content creator for Operation Sports, despite the fact that I cannot speak. Go find me on Twitter at Matt Ederer, and keep it locked here for more hot, spicy retro sports gaming content. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay safe.